So we get to have this repeating scenario in society where you find a woman coming to accuse a man of sexual harassment. Usually the woman is from a lower class of society, while the man is an elite. But currently in Nigeria, we are having a situation where a female Senate, Natasha akpoti-uduaghan, is accusing the president of the Senate, Mr. Godswill Akpabio, of sexual harassment. Now, she has been suspended for 6 months from the Senate. But the question on ground right now is her suspension based on her accusation or based on her behavior? This is a report on Amios and Doris, but before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the Next Generation Media channel so you don't get to miss out on any subsequent videos. So earlier on in history, when it comes to the topic of sexual harassment, initially we had the case where men were the people who were more believed. Then we had the Me Too movement that came, then women were more believed. And I think over time, we have never really ever got to the point of having a balance when it comes to this topic of just looking at the facts rather than just the statements of people. But what caught my attention in this particular topic, this particular case with the female Senate and the president of the Senate, was the fact that it seems to be that her accusation is being swept under the mat. We had the BBC that reported on this one article saying Nigerian lawmakers have suspended a senator for 6 months after she submitted a petition alleging she had been sexually harassed by the Senate president. Natasha akpoti-uduaghan first made the accusations against one of the country's top politicians, Godswill Akpabio. It's kind of confusing, in an interview last Friday. After dismissing her petition on procedural grounds, the Ethics Committee recommended Uduaghan's suspension, saying she had brought public opprobrium to the upper chamber of the National Assembly. Some senators argue that her suspension be cut to 3 months, but a majority voted to stick with the 6-month suspension recommended by the Ethics Committee. Women's rights activist Hadisa Ado told the BBC that Senator Uduaghan's suspension was a sad day for Nigerian women. Uduaghan afterward described her suspension as an injustice that would not be sustained. She vowed to continue her pursuit for justice over her treatment. The Senate leadership later stressed that Uduaghan had been suspended because she had engaged in unruly and disruptive behavior during the session and not because of her allegations against Akpabio. The accusations have dominated discussions across Nigeria since she first made them nearly a week ago. Many high-placed people and groups have called for a transparent investigation. On Wednesday, 2 groups of protesters gathered at the assembly ground in the capital, Abuja, one backing Akpabio and the other in support of his colleague, chanting "Akpabio must go." Ms. Ado, who founded the Women and Children Initiative, said, "We've been following events at the assembly keenly and hoping that investigation into Natasha's allegations would follow. All we can say is that today is a sad day for Nigerian women fighting for emancipation. Out of 109 senators, only 4 are women and 1 is now suspended," she said. Okay. Since I started reading this article, I've almost like been following, just like on getting the idea of it, talking about her coming up with the accusation, then her being suspended, and now we're asking is the suspension because of accusation or her unruly behavior, as the Senate has stated. But when it comes to this particular point that the BBC made, or that the woman activists made, that all we can say is that today is a sad day for Nigerian women fighting for emancipation. Out of 109 senators, only 4 are women and 1 is now suspended. I will say hold back on that, okay? We tend to have this thing in society where we are talking about gender equality for both men and women. And we should actually ask ourselves what we mean by gender equality. Because when I see a statement like this, definitely the aspect of 109 senators and we have 4 that are women might not seem balanced. But I want to ask us again, when it comes to the ruling of parties, when it comes to people that are discussing things concerning the nation, making decisions concerning the nation, are we going to be basing the presence of the amount of women? Because when we're talking about Senate, I think it's more of a political issue. If it's something that is not affecting directly the rights of women, I will not see why we should always put this initiative of there should be equal amount of women and equal amount of men in every administrative building. At the end of the day, I believe when we are going to employ people or elect people into a particular post, we are looking at their eligibility, we are looking at how capable they are of handling that post. So while I'm also for the fact that there should be women present in the parliament, present in the Senate, present in all these administrative offices, we should not now take a situation of whenever there are more men than women in a particular space, it means that there's some sort of maybe discrepancy or maybe discrimination on the women's side of the population. It might just be a case where the most qualified people, the people that are actually presenting themselves for this particular post, are men and have been seen eligible to handle the post. So just from this, I get this a lot of, there is definitely a case where we have to check the allegations that this woman has made. Like that's where the entire thing that caught my attention for this particular episode, the fact that there's a lot of silence concerning her allegations. They are trying to cover it up with the fact of, okay, she was unruly. We're not actually sanctioning her because she was, of accusations, she was unruly. So we're supposed to look into that, but we should not now forget the fact that we should not take this as a reason to come back to this other situation. We are saying in every space, every office space, there should be equal women, equal men. At the end of the day, we should always think about the fact who is most suitable to be in a particular position. Give women the space to prove their worth, but if they don't, then don't put them in that space. So this is kind of shallow accusation, some sort of maybe blame a kind of patriarchy standard in maybe the way the senates are being elected in Nigeria, but it might just be a case where the most eligible are the men. That's just my thinking, because sometimes we rush definitely into the fact that, oh, they're discriminating against women. Then maybe there are not that many women who are aspiring to be senates in that sense. They continued by saying many women on social media also expressed their anger over suspension, with some calling it oppression. During her suspension, Uduaghan will be barred from the National Assembly premises and her office will be locked. So this was written earlier, then updated, because the article was written earlier talking about her coming her allegations, her being suspended. Then later, the Senate came with a reply saying that her suspension was not based on the allegations, it was based on her behavior. We're going to listen to a representative that was sent to talk with and represent the president of the Senate addressing this particular issue. He was trying to make the public understand that her suspension was not based on the allegations she has made, but actually on her behavior. And that presentation was being given by Honorable Khalifat Ogbara. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Senator Natasha akpoti-uduaghan was suspended for gross misconduct and unruly behavior, and not as a result of allegation of sexual harassment or assault. The authority of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria firmly rebukes the deliberate misinformation and false narratives being circulated by certain media organizations regarding the six-month suspension of Senator Natasha akpoti-uduaghan. Let it be unequivocally stated that Senator Uduaghan was suspended solely for a persistent act of misconduct, blatant disregard for the provisions of the Senate Standing Orders 2023 as amended, and gross indiscipline, nothing more, nothing less. This is still the voice of the leader of the Senate.
So that is a snippet of the video. I believe it's about 8 minutes to 9 minutes long, her presentation. The president of the Senate sent this assembly, that's the president's statement. She read from the president's statement, but the assembly sent her to present this to the public to clarify things. So she's saying that her suspension, the suspension of Natasha, Senator Natasha, is not because of her accusations, but actually because of her behavior. So when listening to this, I was really looking for the point where they're going to talk about what she did, and they did. So let's listen to that part of the video. You can go later and search for the full video if you want to get the full presentation that was made. But let's listen to the things that the Senate accused her of, like the bad behavior she had that caused her suspension.
The disciplinary action was a response to her repeated violations of legislative decorum, including 1. Refusing to sit in her assigned seat during plenary on the 25th February 2025, despite multiple pleas from the leadership and other ranking senators, an act of open defiance and disorderly conduct. 2. speaking without being recognized by the presiding officer, in clear violation of parliamentary practices and procedures on the 25th February 2025. 3. Engaging in unruly and disruptive behavior, obstructing the orderly conduct of Senate proceedings. 4. Making abusive and disrespectful remarks against the leadership of the Senate.
Okay, on this particular fourth point that she mentioned, making accusing remarks on the leaders of the Senate, we are being told that the reason why she was suspended is not because she accused the president of sexual harassment. But one of the reasons why she was suspended, according to what the Senate wrote, is that she made accusing remarks on leadership of the Senate. So I think everybody would like to know what kind of accusing remarks she made. If it's not the sexual harassment, what accusing remark did she make? So yeah, when I was listening to this particular video, I was like, what accusing remarks? You are saying it's not because she accused the president of the Senate, but then again, one of the reasons why you're sending out is that she made an accusing remark. So what accusing remark did she make, if not the sexual harassment? I think that's a question we should be looking into.
5. Defying and refusing to comply with the summons of the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges mandated to investigate cases of misconduct. These actions represented a direct challenge to the authority of the Senate and a violation of the Senate Standing Orders 2023 as amended.
So watching this video, I came to the conclusion that surely she definitely has some things that she did that were against the Senate, maybe some bad behaviors or whatever according to the Senate's rules. But the question still remains, why is there no addressing the issue at hand? That is the sexual harassment. Like while we're addressing her bad behavior, addressing maybe the way she went against the Senate, why are we not also addressing the fact that she has labeled an accusation of sexual harassment on the president of the Senate? If you can come and bring this entire presentation talking about you clarifying things on why she was being suspended, can you also bring a presentation saying, okay, just declaring that you have no idea of what she's talking about? She has laid the accusations. You are saying her accusations. Are you saying her accusations are false or not? That's the question I think at the end of the day we're supposed to ask ourselves. Are the accusations that she has made on the president of the Senate true or false? I don't think in anything he has said, he has not been like they are true or they are false. He has just said that this is not why we are sending her out of the Senate. So I think that's the lapse in this entire issue. That's the raw that Nigerians are having. They are saying, address this. Address the aspect of the allegations that have been laid on the president of the Senate. If the Senate can come openly and say, don't bring this false rumor of, okay, the president of the Senate or the Senate has sent out this person because she accused the president, can you also come forward and say that this is a lie? She was not actually sexually harassed, or was she sexually harassed? Like that is, I think, the question that everybody has in their mind. And all this not to say that she's right or she's wrong in the accusation, but in the fact that the accusation is being jumped over, okay? They're sweeping it under the mat. They don't want to address it, and that's why it's making this issue to prolong. If there is an addressing to this particular accusation, this matter will be over. If they can address it, they can go and do investigations and come up with the truth behind these allegations, all of this must be over. She go her suspension, come back later, it's going to be fine. So the question is not, is she lying about why she was suspended, or is this a reason or not why she was suspended? The question is, did the harassment take place? I believe that's everybody's thinking at this point in time. Did the harassment take place? Was she actually harassed? That is actually the nucleus of the situation, not why she was kicked out of the Senate for 6 months. That's all for the video, guys. I'd like to know your comments on this particular issue. Do you believe that her suspension was because of the harassment case or her bad behavior? The Senate has said theirs. I want you to say yours. Drop it down in the comments below. But before you go, make sure to like and subscribe to Next Generation Media channel so you don't get to miss out on any of our subsequent videos. Bye.